So Corrections Corporation of America, which is one of the largest for-profit prison companies in the United States, has actually done an investor meeting. And what they wanted to do is convince investors that they are making the right choice in investing money into their company. Now, during this presentation, they talked about the state of the economy and how a bad economy equals more profits for people who invest in these private prisons, because bad economy usually equals more crime. You'll see more theft, you'll see people who do things out of desperation, and the for-profit industry is saying, hey, this is great. Okay, what other industry can you invest in that's actually going to make you money when the economy experiences a downturn? So these horrible people are looking forward to the demise of the country because their investors make money, they make money, they push tough on crime legislation. CCA and people who work for CCA are the scum of this planet.
Right, and what they also do is they create this environment where, like, if you buy stock in Ford Motor Company, right? You hear that American cars are selling. You hear that a Ford sold. Oh, that's great. If you buy stock in CCA, you hear someone's arrested and you're excited.
Yeah, you hear that a non-violent drug offender is going to serve 10 years in prison.
Or an illegal immigrant. And it's like, oh, that's great. That's great for my my wallet, from my back pocket.
It's sick. It makes me disgusted. And look, there are so many downfalls to these for-profit prisons. And, just to give you an example of it, there was a documentary done by Kevin Booth, and the name of the documentary was American Drug War, because, the drug war has a lot to do with these private prisons and how they profit. And I want to show you guys a little snippet of his documentary, because I really think it's nicely done. And it just gives you a bit of an example of how these for-profit prisons take advantage of bankrupt cities. Let's watch.
Not far from Bakersfield, California is the small town of Taft, once home to a thriving oil industry. But like so many oil towns across America, the oil finally dried up. Like many bankrupt towns, a private prison stepped in to save the day. The Taft Correctional Institution is owned by the Geo Group, formerly known as Wackenhut. Wackenhut changed its name after a storm of bad publicity.
The GEO Group is the leader in providing diversified services to government agencies around the globe. Our global expertise in outsourcing includes the design, construction, financing, management, and operation of jails, prisons, and special purpose institutions, and immigration and detention centers.
They trade their stock on Wall Street based upon the number of people that are in jail. If that isn't sick, if that isn't the best definition of sickness in a society, in a culture, in a civilization, I can't tell you what.
What's the name of that documentary?
The name of the documentary is American Drug War, and again, it was created by filmmaker Kevin Booth. You guys should all check it out. There's snippets of it on YouTube if you want to.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. I think he did an excellent job. And what's really interesting, and tell me if I'm being too hard on MSNBC here, right? Every weekend, MSNBC on a loop plays this or shows this lockup, right? And really, you're gonna exploit the horrible conditions that some of these inmates are, experiencing, rather than talking about the issue with for-profit prisons in this country. I'm sure Rachel Maddow at some point has talked about it. I don't want to, make a blanket statement about MSNBC, but I feel like this is one of those issues that's being ignored.
It's underreported if it's reported at all. I mean, this is, and it was encapsulated in what that guy said at the end of that clip or snippet, was that the idea that this company does well when prison population goes up is sickening. That being said, I love Lockup. I watch Lockup, and I don't want them to take it off the air. I think they should, but Anna's right. There should be a balance in the way they report it. They're gonna show what prison life is like, but they're not talking about why prison, why there's so many prisoners. They're not talking about why the war on drugs is profiting to some people, and as opposed, we know that, but we don't know it as it directly correlates to the prison population. I think that you're 100% right.
One more thing about CCA's presentation. A few months ago, Cenk and I were talking about the recidivism rate here in the United States, and we have a very high recidivism rate. And CCA's presentation touched on that. In fact, not only touched on that, they emphasized that.
They love recidivism's great for business. They
Definitely.
love recidivism.
So they're like, hey, investors, look at all the people who go to jail, get out, and then they come back.
Well, but
it's great.
But that's the other part of it. No, this is a really important part. I mean, if prison in America is rehabilitative, and that's what we want prison to be in the United States, and that's sort of the starting point. I mean, you want people to get better, you want people to learn how to be part of society, you want to let them out and flourish in society. Their prisons then are doing an inadequate or a conflict of interest job. Because if I own a private prison and I'm going to make money, if I'm like these people, I'm going to make money by having them back, I'm not going to push the rehabilitation so hard.
Of course.
I'm not going to push that education so hard. So it's a double, I mean, it's like a double impacted here. And that's, I mean, that's not just an afterthought. I'm glad you said that. That's really true. I mean, that's a big part of it.